I was just thinking, do you remember what you expected before you moved here?
What I expected? That is a big question.
Right? I had this whole movie playing in my head. I thought it would be so glamorous, like I'd step off the plane and immediately find a cute little apartment with a balcony,
Yes, the perfect apartment, of course.
and I'd have my favorite coffee shop just around the corner. But the reality was a tiny room and instant coffee for a month.
I know this reality. For me, I thought the city would be full of art and music on every street. I imagined old men playing chess in the park and jazz clubs on every corner.
That's a beautiful picture.
It was, but what I found was mostly just noise, the sound of traffic. So much traffic.
Yes, the noise. I thought the city sounds would be exciting, like a soundtrack to my new life, but sometimes it was just lonely. All those people, all that sound, but you feel completely alone in it.
That is a strange thing, to be surrounded by a million people and feel invisible.
Did you feel that a lot at the beginning?
Oh, yes. The first few weeks were very hard. I would walk for hours just looking at buildings. I expected to feel inspired, but I just felt small.
I did the same. I remember trying to figure out the supermarket. It sounds so silly.
It is not silly at all. The food is different, the packaging is different, you don't know what to buy.
Exactly. I stood for 10 minutes just looking at the milk. So many kinds of milk. Back home, there were two.
And you feel stupid, like a child who does not know how to do simple things.
Yeah, that feeling. What about public transport? I thought I'd be a natural, just hopping on and off trains.
And instead,
I went in the wrong direction for 45 minutes on my second day. I was too embarrassed to ask anyone for help.
this also happened to me many times. I thought people would be cold and unfriendly, always in a hurry,
I had that idea too.
but it turned out to be not true. People are busy, yes, but an old woman saw me looking at a map, completely lost, and she stopped. She spent 10 minutes explaining the bus routes to me.
That's so lovely. It's those small moments, isn't it? They change everything.
Yes, one small kindness makes you feel like you belong, just for a minute.
I think my moment was finding a park. Not a big, famous one, just a little green square between some apartment buildings. I didn't expect to need nature so much.
Right, in a big city, a little bit of green feels like a secret garden.
It really does. I sat on a bench there for an hour just watching dogs play, and I thought, okay, I can do this. I can live here. It was a feeling of possibility again. The disappointment was fading.
The disappointment is strong at first. You compare everything to home. The coffee is not like home, the bread is not like home.
Oh, constantly. And you feel guilty about it. You chose to leave, but you miss it.
Exactly. It's a very confusing feeling. Excitement and sadness all at the same time.
When did it start to feel less like a visit? When did it start to feel like home for you?
I think it was when I got sick, just a small cold. But I was alone, and I felt very sorry for myself.
Oh no, that's the worst.
It is, but then I had to go to the pharmacy, and I had to explain my symptoms, and the pharmacist was so kind. He gave me tea. Then I went home to my own bed and made the tea, and I realized I know how to be sick here.
That's such a specific thing, but it makes so much sense. You learned how to take care of yourself in this new place.
Yes, it was not an adventure anymore. It was just life, my life. What about you?
For me, it was when I didn't have to use a map to get to three different places. I could just walk and I knew the way.
Mental map. That is a big step.
It is. My brain finally understood the streets. And I started seeing the same faces. The man who walks his dog every morning, the woman at the bakery who always smiles.
You became part of the scenery,
Yes, no longer just a tourist. That was a good feeling. I thought making friends would be easy. I pictured big dinner parties.
but it turned out to be much slower, more quiet.
So much slower. It wasn't a party, it was just a cup of coffee, a long conversation, like this one.
This is better than a big party.
Much better. It's funny, the reality is much less glamorous than the expectation. It's more about finding comfort in small, everyday things, not big adventures.
I agree. I did not find the jazz clubs on every corner, but I found one. One small, dark, wonderful club. And that is enough.
And you found your park with the men playing chess.
Yes, eventually. It took a year, but I found them. The reality is not worse than the expectation, it is just quieter, more real.
Yeah, quieter is the perfect word for it. My life isn't a movie, it's just my life here. And that's okay.
It is more than okay.
It is. It really is. I remember the first time I felt truly at home here. It wasn't a big moment, not at all. It was a Tuesday morning, I think. I was walking to work and I saw the seasons had changed. The leaves on the trees were a different color, and I realized I had been here long enough to see the seasons change. I had a history here, even if it was just a short one.
That's a beautiful thought. The accumulation of small moments. That is what build a life in a new place. For me, it was when I started having my usuals. The usual coffee order at the cafe, the usual table at the library, the usual route I took on my evening walks. It's the little routines that anchor you to a place.
Yes, the routines. It's like building a nest, twig by twig. You don't even realize you're doing it. Suddenly, the barista knows your name. The man at the newsstand nods at you. You have a path that your feet know without your brain having to think about it. It's a quiet magic. I also found the anonymity of the city to be a double-edged sword. At first, it was crushing, to feel like one face in a million. But then there was a shift. I realized I could be anyone. I could try things and fail, and nobody would know. I took a terrible pottery class. Everything I made was lopsided. But it was freeing to be so completely new with no history to live up to.
I understand that, the freedom and anonymity. For me, the struggle was more internal, with my work. I came here for a job I thought would change my life. I had seen their advertisements, their projects. It all seemed so meaningful. I expected long nights of creative collaboration, passionate arguments about ideas, changing the world one project at a time.
Oh, the dream job. I know that one well. What was the reality like?
The reality was email, spreadsheets, meetings about meetings. The passion I saw from the outside was just very good marketing. My grand ideas were put into a document titled Potential Future Concepts and never spoken of again. For months, I felt like a fraud. I had told everyone back home about this incredible opportunity, but I was just sitting in a great cubicle making PowerPoint. The disillusionment was profound. It made me question my choices, my talent, everything.
That sounds incredibly tough. It's like the city promised you a vibrant painting and then handed you a paint by the numbers kit. The gap between the story you tell others and the story you're living can feel immense. I had a different kind of disillusionment, a much sillier one. I was so proud of myself for learning a few phrases in the local slang. I heard people saying, "I'm easy" to mean "I don't mind" or "I'm flexible with the plan." So, a colleague invited me to a big, important dinner with her family. When her mother asked me what I'd like to drink, full of confidence, I just smiled and announced, "Oh, I'm easy."
Oh no, let me guess. There was a silence?
A very, very long silence. The kind where you can hear a fork scrape a plate from across the room. My colleague just buried her face in her hands. Her father cleared his throat, and her mother just blinked at me. It turned out, in that context, the phrase had a very different, much more suggestive meaning. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. I spent the rest of the dinner just pointing at things I wanted.
That is a wonderful story. Painful at the time, I am sure, but wonderful now. It is in those moments of profound embarrassment that you really learn. You learn humility. You learn to laugh at yourself. For me, the unexpected joys were quieter. I found a tiny shop that only sells maps. Old maps, new maps, maps of the stars. I went in one day just to look. The owner was an old man with glasses on the end of his nose. We did not speak much, but he showed me a map of my hometown from 100 years ago. Seeing the streets I knew but different, it connected my past to my present in a way I cannot explain. It was a strange and profound comfort. And I go there sometimes just to be quiet and look at the world laid out on paper.
That's a beautiful image, finding a piece of your past in this big, overwhelming present. I think those discoveries are the real souvenirs, not the things you buy in a gift shop, but these moments of connection. I had a similar thing with food. I expected to miss my mother's cooking, and I did, but I didn't expect to fall in love with flavors I'd never even heard of. There's a little hole in the wall place near me run by an old woman who barely speaks a word of English. I don't even know what I'm ordering most of the time. I just point, and she brings me a bowl of something steaming and delicious. It's a kind of trust, a new kind of comfort food. It doesn't taste like home, but it tastes like here.
It tastes like here. That is the perfect way to describe it. It took me a long time to stop searching for things that tasted like home and to start appreciating the new flavors for what they were. The same was true for my work. For a long time, I was bitter. But the disappointment forced me to look for meaning outside of my cubicle. I started volunteering at a small theater, just helping build sets. I met people who were truly passionate. We would work late into the night, covered in paint, tired but happy. It was not my career. It did not pay my rent, but it was real. The way I had hoped my job would be. I learned that my definition of a successful life had been too narrow. The city did not give me the dream job I expected, but it gave me a richer life.
That's a profound realization that the life you build is often in the margins of the one you planned. Has the city changed you, do you think? The person who stepped off that plane, is she different from the one sitting here now?
Completely, unquestionably. The man who arrived here was so sure of himself. He had a plan. He thought he knew what success looked like, what happiness looked like. This city, it broke down all of that certainty. It showed me that I was much smaller than I thought, but also much stronger. I am quieter now, I think, more patient. I listen more. I used to be in such a hurry to get to the next big thing. Now I find myself paying attention to the small things. The way the light hits the buildings in the evening, the sound of a musician in the distance. The man who arrived was chasing a dream. The man who is here is just living a life. And I think he is much happier for it.
That's it, isn't it? We come here chasing a dream, an expectation, but the real gift the city gives us is the life we build when that dream doesn't quite come true. It's messier and quieter, but it's real. It's ours.
Exactly. The expectation is a beautiful, glossy photograph. The reality is a rich, complicated, sometimes difficult, but ultimately much more satisfying painting. You have to live in it to see all the colors.
Well, I'm glad my reality involves having these conversations with you.
I am too. These conversations feel like a small anchor, a moment where nothing needs to be impressive or new.
Yeah, just honest. Two people, a quiet kitchen, and a little bit of time.
And maybe that is what we were really looking for when we moved. Not the big picture, but the small, real moment.
I think so. And if this city taught me anything, it's that those moments are enough.
They really are.
Thank you for listening. This was Quiet Kitchen Conversations.
We'll talk again soon.